Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming to my talk. In this talk, I'm going to talk about MicroProfile 4.0 and beyond. I'm Emily Jiang from IBM. I'm a Java champion. I'm a Liberty Cloud native architect and advocate. So I work on MicroProfile, and I also manage the implementation, MicroProfile implementation on OpenLiberty. If you, feel free to ask questions during this session. If you have any questions and etc. after this talk, feel free to reach out via Twitter. My Twitter handle Emily FH Jiang. So in this quick session, I will give you a brief overview on MicroProfile 4.0. So what's being delivered in the MicroProfile 4.0. And then I will do like a demo, short demo of MicroProfile 4.0 features on OpenLiberty. And I briefly touch on the MicroProfile 2021 roadmap and followed on by a Q&A. So we have reserved 5 minutes for the Q&A. Feel free to get your questions there. So MicroProfile 4.0 aligns with Jakarta E8. Jakarta E8 is the last Jakarta EE release with a JavaX namespace. If you follow the Jakarta EE release and community, so that the Jakarta E9 will start using Jakarta namespace. And MicroProfile 4.0, as you can see, adopts Jakarta E8, these 4 specs, plus these 8 updates from MicroProfile specifications. This is a quick timeline really about the MicroProfile release cadence. So in the past, we have been doing 3 releases per year. And last year, however, we spent a lot of time to set up a MicroProfile working group. And then we did 2 releases, so MicroProfile 3.3 and then MicroProfile 4.0. 4.0 was released just before Christmas 2020. And now we are releasing MicroProfile 4.1, hopefully end of June or July this year. We'll have like update from Health 3.1. MicroProfile 4.0 is the first release under the working group. I think what's the kind of significance about this working group? So basically, once we establish this working group, that bring MicroProfile to be a standard body. So basically, MicroProfile is a stack, a standard community. So it's, so far we have 10 members supporting this MicroProfile working group. IBM, Elastic, Red Hat, Oracle, Piara, Tommy Tribe, Atlanta Jag, Cadence, Jag, iJag, and Fujitsu. So you can see the kind of MicroProfile is broadly supported by the community and also by companies. So this is another display about 4.0. So it's like a full Jakarta E8 spec, and also is 7 of the MicroProfile specifications introduced backward incompatible changes, with the exception of JWT 1.2. So I will go through each individual spec to tell you what's being introduced. So first, for the config 2.0, so we introduced quite a few features. The first one is the config profile. So basically, with the introduction of this feature, so we established a new pattern to specify the properties. So we use the syntax percentage, and then profile name and dot, and then the variable, the property name. So, and then we have another property mp.config.profile specify what's the active profile. So basically in this example here, if you say you are reached the testing stage, and then if you look up vehicle.name, you will get a bike. And for the config profile, it's works on the property name, and also it works on the property, the config source, like MicroProfile-config.properties. Now is if you have MicroProfile-config dot profile name and dot property, this one is also automatically loaded. So you don't need to use the service load or whatsoever. This one will be loaded. So in these circumstances, if you look up customer.name and this is the microprofile-config.testing.property, this one will overwrite this one. So this one you will get a SAB instead. So this is one thing. Second one is variable replacement, which means property can refer to another property. So in here, like a URL to refer to host and a port. So when you look up URL, you got all these variable like evaluated. So you will get HG localhost 9080. So the third feature is kind of trying to solve the problem where like you have multiple properties, but they are all kind of related to a one entity. For example, in here, like you get a server, host, port, endpoint, order, location, etc. You might want to like create like a structure, create an object and class directly like represent these properties in one entity. So in this case, we introduce the config properties. So you can directly inject like all the different properties into the field. So in this case, like we have the prefix, you can specify the prefix. In this one, you can say server as a prefix, so that the first field is host. You will do server.host directly inject into this variable, and server port directly inject to the port variable. If you want to change the name, and you can use @config property. So basically, you're saying actually, when you look up server.old.location inject into this variable. So basically, with the config properties, all these fields are injection target. Basically, they are injected. So that's the kind of config property. So the next one I want to bring to your attention is we introduced a config value. So which means you are able to find out which config source to supply a property, the property you are interested. So in here, if you do a config.get config value and with the sum.url, and then you can find out which config source config value has a get config source and got config or ordinal and etc. So basically, you can find out which config source supply a particular property, and if you want to overwrite that value, you know which one to overwrite with, because same property could be mentioned in different in multiple config sources. So the next one is fault tolerance. In fault tolerance 3.0, we kind of clarified the bulkhead and circuit breaker scope is per class, per method. So it's all the instances for a particular class will share the same bulkhead or share the same circuit breaker. So previously it was unclarified, so some runtime implemented this way, other runtime implemented a different way. So the other thing is the metrics now is we use like a MicroProfile for tolerance have some metrics like tell you how many retries he has done and how often the been time out and etc. And it uses the MicroProfile metrics. And in the fault tolerance 3.0, it adopts the metrics tags. So which means that when you create a Grafana queries, you can simplify your query with the new tags. The MicroProfile Health 3.0 is kind of introduced a few features. Also, is kind of has some backward incompatible changes. So first is removed at health annotation. So that's kind of deprecated and encourage people to use at liveness and at readiness. So the other thing is that as you know, MicroProfile is targeting microservices. However, it's completely fine if you want to use it for monolith. So with that, like some specs go extra miles trying to clarify if you do monolith, what behavior you will see. So in this one, like if you deploy multiple applications per runtime for the health endpoint, basically the readiness always down until all the applications have been started. However, you could overwrite that behavior. You say, okay, I don't want that. I want is kind of if it's I have a empty response. Basically, they're not up yet. I want up earlier. So the next one is health check response and change the one method state to be status, so match the JSON payload. So the MicroProfile metrics introduced other more metrics for simple timer, and also the timer report kind of elapsed time, and also the rest metrics can also track the unmapped exceptions and etc. So the next one is MicroProfile Open Tracing 2.0. It adopts Open Tracing API spec from the 0.33, which means you could use the latest Jaeger client or Zipkin client. Basically, they kind of use the latest Open Tracing API. So that's for Open Tracing 2.0. The next one is the MicroProfile OpenAPI 2.0. It introduces 3 new annotations: schema, property, request body schema, API response schema. So basically, it further simplified some annotations, and also the scopes and server variables being removed because it's not very useful. The next one is the REST client. REST client introduced quite a few different features. The first one is the query param layout. The kind of in the past support this multiple pair. So this first one now is support comma separated and also array pairs. So this is this is because the REST client could interact with some other services written in Node, JS, and some other languages. They request a different format. The next one is the client, and in the REST client, obviously directly talk to the backend. And now you can set up HTTP proxy. Basically, client go to proxy, and proxy talk to the backend. The next one is the REST client auto direct. So if you set up one backend, however, that backend is kind of have the be replaced by another backend, and it will have auto directive functionality. And now it's the REST client owner that. So when it receives 307, it automatically go to the new destination. So eventually you'll get 200 back. Also, if you follow clearly, follow closely with JAX-RS, support JAX-RS 2.1, like the service and event. And previous REST client does not support service and event. JAX-RS client does. So now is REST client also supports service and event for your messaging applications. This is another one is JWT. So this is only specifications is haven't introduced backward incompatible changes in this release. In the JWT 1.2, it now support encrypted JWT. So previously we only support signed JWT. Now we also support JWE, which is encrypted JWT. And also clarified, MicroProfile JWT added 2 claims. One is the UPN, the other one is groups. Now also clarified, groups is optional. The third one is the sign algorithm. Previously, we only support RS256. Now also support ES256. The fourth one is now is previously the JWT has to pass in as a header, like HTTP header, authorization header. Now is you can also pass in as a cookie, so you can specify mpjwt.token.header. You can say cookie, and then you can say, okay, this is cookie is starting with bearer, like that. If you use the JWE, encrypted JWT, you have to specify this decryption key location. So it's with, so that means with this property and p.jwt decrypted key location, that means you are hinted you are going to pass in the encrypted JWT. So that's a quick tour of the 4.0. So it's so you might be wondering how can I use the MicroProfile 4.0. So you can use OpenLiberty. OpenLiberty 2103 or later release have the 4.0 support. And also I wrote the longer version of the 4.0, a deep dive into 4.0. I mean, that lists everything you need to know about what's being delivered about 4.0, and with a few videos as well. OpenLiberty is one of the MicroProfile 4.0 implementations. Actually, it's a Wildfly and also Payara Macro also support 4.0. So you can use the start on MicroProfile.io, create your application using MicroProfile 4.0, or you can use the VS Code or IntelliJ. They all got plugins. So if you use the VS Code, install this one, MicroProfile extension pack. If you use a starter, if you use IntelliJ, you use this is a MicroProfile starter plugin. So with that, I will give you a quick demo. So it's I'm the I use IntelliJ. No, I use the VS Code. I also use IntelliJ, but in this demo I use VS Code. Okay, you see, very slow for some reason. I can see I already have a MicroProfile extension pack installed, and set a group ID demo and 4.0. You can choose OpenLiberty. You can use SE, and then I can get all of them. And then it will create the project for me. So you can see, generate. Add to current workspace. So it will give me a service like a two like a microservice, service A and a service B. So it's only want to show you quickly like service A, like this POM XML. So you can see the dependency. So when you get a dependency 401, so that's give you all the MicroProfile APIs you need. And here is the kind of the also is the kind of it will be run on Open Liberty, and this is all the kind of the all the code is a sample code for you to learn about MicroProfile and etc. And also there's a README for you to understand how to start this application. So when you use, I use Open Liberty, so you can use, this is a Maven, you can Maven and a Liberty dev to start that in the kind of the development mode. So with that, let me, I already have like a project kind of coded up and directly show you the new features. So this is kind of the project I prepared in advance. So now is the kind of the server is up running, and so it's in a different tab. And if I go to the because I use MicroProfile 4.0, so it's I have OpenAPI like up running, so it will be able to like list all the endpoint for me. So it's it has the localhost 9080 the config, so directly like all the endpoint and etc. Let me directly close the other one. So I think my laptop is melting down. It's really struggling at the moment. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened. So this I quickly like go through the code with you. Gosh. So if I can go to the top, I'll explain to you. Okay. So it's I just show you, demonstrate to you the discount. So basically I use the MicroProfile like config the configure profile feature. So basically you can specify the np.config.profile equal to test. In this case, if you inject a discount, and you will get this 80. The other thing is the kind of the variables, the properties. can refer to other properties. So this is a customer.name can refer to like a customer.surname and first name. So in this way, when you look up a customer.name, you will get Doctor Who. The other thing is the configure profile, configure properties. So in this way, like I have a customer.address, customer.age, and customer.hobby. So basically, you can directly create a new like the class, for example, is people. You can say address, age, and hobby, and you can specify the prefix. For example, here, and you can specify the prefix. You can say customer, and then this field will inject with the property customer.name, customer.address, and also the customer.age, and also the customer.hobby. So in this way, like in this way, in the resource. So in this resource, basically what I do, I did the discount, look up the property discount and inject into a config value. So in this way, I can find out where the discount is from. And the other thing that this is kind of customer name. I directly inject into name. I can find out actually this they can refer to other like the properties and etc. So the similarly, like as you can like see in this microprofile config properties, you will have a prefix customer and also prefix the client. So in the person, in the person, you said the prefix is the customer. However, in the kind of the injection, and you could also specify like the client instead. So if you say resource. So if you want to change the prefix, you just to say is at inject configure properties prefix equals the client. So in this way, as you can see, the person added, client added, and if I directly go to this endpoint, so it will be, and then you automatically get these two like in JSON format, because I said this is in JSON format. And similarly here, like if you say we inspect, you can see today's discount 80 from the property, which is meta-inf microprofile configure properties. So this is kind of the quick show about microprofile config. So the other thing is REST client. So you can see the query like a prom style. So this is kind of the you have the multiple the query multiple prom styles. So basically in here you can specify the query prom style, the multi-pairs or the comma separated or the kind of the array pairs. In this way, the kind of it will display as the you have been asked. So in this way, as you can see, this is here is the query style. So you can see the multi-pairs and comma separated array pairs. So this is another thing. The third thing is the redirect. The redirect, so basically is you can still do the the REST client as you have done before. So basically is if it's a redirect to another backend, if you don't specify follow redirect, you will get 307 back. If you say specify, okay, please redirect, follow redirect.
5 minutes left. You have 5 minutes left for your Q&A. Your presentation should be over in 5 minutes total. So I just wanted to let you know. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So in here is kind of the, this is the redirect. So if I do the redirect, so the redirect, so you can see the first one without specify the redirect equals 307. If you specify, you have 200 back. The final thing I want to show you is the server center event. So in the server center event, so basically the client, so basically is kind of like the subscriber. So basically you create this like the REST client. So it's a server side publish message and you subscribe to that event. So this is the kind of server implementation. So basically it's directly sending letters and then sleep a bit and continue to send more letters. And etc. This is how many letters sent is configured by a number event. So in this demonstration here, resource, and then it's kind of the you create the client, and then you call the get event, and then you create a subscriber. Obviously, when you implement the subscriber, you have to implement unsubscribe, on next, and then on error, and then is uncomplete. So this uncomplete, when the call uncomplete, this channel will be closed. So no more like messages will come through. So in this kind of thing, we could directly like so do this. So basically I say, okay, the server side send 25 25 messages. Actually, I want to cancel it. My client, I want to cancel it after 10 has been sent. So I just do that. And at the same time, I configure a TCP channel. So basically, it's send 11 actually. And then actually the client said only received 10. So that's a quick tour about the whole REST client. The new features. So the other thing is I quickly have another 3 minutes.
You have 2 minutes left, and then
yeah.
you will have to stop completely.
2 minutes left and then stop completely. Yeah. Let me quickly go to the presentation. Spend 1 minute. Are there any questions?
Yes, you have questions. If you want, I can read them to you so we go faster. Curious to know what's the difference between Eclipse, MicroProfile, and IBM's Open Liberty. And you have 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I will have to stop after that.
Okay. So the good question. So MicroProfile is the specification, and Open Liberty is the implementation. One of the implementations for the MicroProfile specification. Are there any more questions?
The second question is, then MicroProfile 4.0 introduce breaking changes. What do you suggest customers to handle them in their existing applications? And you have less than 1 minute.
Yeah, so it's basically we clearly document the migration path in the a release note, so you can follow that suggestions to migrate your application.
And the last one is, what's the roadmap for MicroProfile and Jakarta EE going forward? You have 40 seconds.
Yeah, so basically it's in the next release in the MicroProfile 5.0. So we are trying to align with with Jakarta EE 9 release, or maybe in 9.1. And also there's the Scene4J initiative. So we look at how two communities can work together. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. You have 14 seconds left on your session if you want to say goodbye.
Yeah, great. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via Twitter. Thank you. Bye.